Chapter 10 focuses on risk management and negligence. Risk management can be defined as a process for managing risks that you can identify and ensuring those that you can't manage. There are many definitions, but nearly all suggest it's necessary to aggressively identify potential hazards. Risk management is a constant process. A risk management plan contains all of the necessary elements of a crisis management plan, an emergency action plan, and a communication plan. So there are 3 steps to creating a comprehensive risk management plan. The first is to identify the risks that may occur. The next is to assess and classify them, so you can use previous incidents and documentation of those incidents to assess and classify. And then finally, to treat and manage. So there are 4 options for treating risks. They are to retain, reduce, to avoid, and transfer. The DIM process refers to the development, implementation, and managing of a risk management plan. So again, when you're developing the plan, you want to identify the risk, the potential risk that could be associated with the event. You can collect this information in a variety of ways, including talking to fans, walking through the venue. Once the risks are identified, they must be classified. Classification of potential risks places them in a hierarchical order that provides understanding of the frequency and seriousness of the risk. Proper implementation of a plan often requires you to establish roles and get buy-in from employees that are in charge of essentially executing the plan. So explaining what people are expected to do and required to do, getting them to actually want to do that, then you train them on how to do it, and then you communicate the plan consistently through creating a handbook, send out emails, create posters and flyers, so you maintain some consistency about the expectation of that actual plan. The third step in the DIM process is management. So if an incident occurs, like in this scenario, it looks like someone's about to get hit in the face with a ball, the incident needs to be documented in written form. Then you would want to evaluate the plan. Did staff execute their roles effectively? If not, you want to improve it and update it. There are several different types of threats to events that could occur. The first is a medical emergency, so a heart attack or maybe a fan gets injured in the stands. Staff should be CPR, first aid, and AED certified. Personnel should carry cell phones or walkie-talkies to communicate. The next is heat-related illness. So heat is the most common weather-related killer. So someone from event management should be responsible for checking the extended forecast so they can see if there's going to be a heat index in which you would not want to participate. And the third is lightning safety. The last 2 areas, bloodborne pathogens. So strict precautions regarding the handling of bloodborne injuries are specified by OSHA. They provide guidelines to prevent the spread of diseases through contact with blood. And then finally, equipment and supervision. So equipment is essential in sport for the protection of participants. Safety inspections need to be performed regularly to ensure the equipment is maintained and in working order. Large crowds create an additional risk to plan for. Therefore, an effective plan addresses the following issues: the number of people at the venue, spectator behavior. Are spectators normally calm, or are they likely to fight? The layout of the facility. Is there signage? Are there a lot of exits, a lot of bathrooms, which create a different type of crowd flow? Emergency response. So how quickly can emergency responders get to the scene? Are there ways for them to easily bring a stretcher up certain areas or not? And then finally, guest movement. Moving back to facility layout, like, are guests prone to moving quickly? Are they meandering around the stadium and facility? Some key terms related to crowd management are crowd expectations. So when people attend an event, they expect to be safe and secure. Crowd dynamics and demographics, though things that I talked about similar to the previous slide are do you have an antagonistic fan base? What the demographics, race, sex, class, gender, sexual orientation, Movement theory refers to how people move in and around the facility. Evacuation procedures are there clear plans in place when a mass exodus occurs at the facility. Some other key terms related to crowd management are fan education and alcohol policy. So, do fans know what to expect when they're at the event? Is there an alcohol policy? A lot of places restrict alcohol after a certain period of time or limit the amount of alcohol you could buy during one period of time. Are staff trained so that they know how to deal with people in crowds? And then finally, signage refers to signs that tell people where to go, who to talk to. So directional and informational signs. Even with a good risk management plan, there is potential for negligence. Negligence is defined as an unintentional wrongdoing that results in an injury to a person, property, or reputation. There are 4 parts to proving negligence. The first is that the defendant has a duty to protect against foreseeable dangers, a duty to provide adequate security, and a duty to warn about the known dangers. So normally when you buy a ticket, on the back there's a little bit of a disclaimer that says there's a risk involved here. The next factor is that the defendant breached that duty. The third is that breach caused an injury, whether it be physical or emotional damage. However, there are ways to mitigate negligence. As I said in the first bullet point, is that you can have participants sign a waiver or put some language in the back of a ticket that says there is a risk to sitting in the front row at a baseball game that you may get hit by a ball or a player. To spectators, the process of forming a risk management plan is often invisible, but that does not make it any less important. Risk management is not a one-and-done exercise. It's a process that uses the various entities involved in the creation and execution of an event to create the safest environment for patrons. This includes identifying, assessing, and managing risks. So while negligence may occur, you can also mitigate that process by having participants sign waivers that attest that they know what they're getting themselves into when they attend.